Good afternoon, Dr. Smith, Dr. McKnight, Board President Evans, and members of the Board of Education. My name is David King, and I'm a senior at Walter Johnson High School. So I want to start off with a question to y'all. Do you know what's going on in your schools? Now, I ask this because sitting at home, watching your board meetings, it almost feels like you're living in a fantasy world. You don't seem to see the problems with virtual learning. You haven't even discussed making massive changes for the vast majority of virtual students. And you've been largely ignoring the testimony that I've been giving you for months about changing the grade system and protecting our mental health, even when I cite your own statistics at you about how much of a toll this is taking on students. So in the hopes of giving you a better understanding of just how miserable our experience has been, I'm going to try to walk you through some of the extreme expectations and workloads that are being pushed on students like myself. Now, I've taken harder course loads alongside more extracurriculars when there were much more expectations being placed on me, but I've never come even close to being this pressed with work. Because we have so few hours in classrooms this year, our teachers are placing massive expectations on us to do learning outside of class. What that means is I had to write 3 essays in 1 week for just one class, work through over 100 problems as one night's homework for another class. I've had to do massive independent research projects. I've taken hours and hours of notes on videos. And yes, at least one of my teachers has explicitly informed us that learning the course content at a basic level is our own responsibility to do outside of the classroom. Instead of expanding access to teachers, over the course of the year my school has made virtual check-ins outright more difficult. It's practically impossible to meet with your teachers, to go over your essays, get feedback on your tests, and seek out extra help when you need it. And because students are being asked to learn a traditional year's worth of content in about half the class time, we're making a huge ask on students who are already plagued both by the fact that they cannot see their friends in the pandemic and by the fact that it's almost impossible to learn content and pay attention to a Zoom call. As you transition into conversations about your hybrid reopening model, my greatest fear is that you're going to stop caring about the students who are still enrolled in your virtual learning. You cannot allow this to happen. We are too tired, too scared, and too left behind by your refusal to stand up for our safety and change the system in order to protect our mental health. It is ridiculous and irresponsible to continue in this path of action, pretending that nothing has to change from a traditional grading model. You know, and your MAP testing data is proving, that there's been a massive learning loss among students. In the here and now, lessening your expectations of us is the only fair thing to do until we can come up with a proper model for intervention. You also know, and your survey data is proving, that student mental health is in the toilet right now. You know that teachers have said that they cannot provide individual resources that students need, and you know that students are struggling to learn the full year's worth of content in half the class time. You developed several different new grading models during the spring semester. It is time to reinvestigate and institute one, seek out other mental health reforms, and lessen the expectations being placed on our tired shoulders. You are leaving the students behind. There are practically no protection for our mental health, and seems to be little consideration for changing this. We are not being well 365. We are exhausted. It has to stop. Thank you for your time.